proposition 16 goes like this. There are 3 parts. And I guess I'll write the 3 parts and then we'll do the proofs in parts, right? So part A, a straight line drawn at right angles to the diameter of a circle from its end. So not anywhere. So the way this straight line hits the diameter has to be at the end of the diameter, which is where the diameter meets the circumference. So right angles to the diameter. At its end will fall outside the circle. The circle. And part B, another straight line. So this is another straight line, cannot be inserted between the straight line from the previous part, from part A, and the circumference. I'll make this more clear when we have a diagram. I guess the Euclid is just super terse when it comes to describing what this is. Cannot be inserted into the space between the straight line, right? This is the straight line from A, not the diameter. And the circumference. And part C is the most cryptic part. I had to read this several times before understanding it. I guess once we get to the diagram again, it will be more clear as to what's going on. So the angle of the semicircle, whatever that is, is greater. I may have transcribed this incorrectly. This cannot be, but maybe it's fine. Maybe it is what it says.
It is what it says. And maybe it defines what that means in the beginning of book 3.
Oh, there is a definition. I guess I didn't look back. I just read and like, okay, I guess I'll go to the proof. And after I finish reading the proof, I should know what that means, right? It's greater than any acute rectilinear angle. Right, I guess that's a complete sentence, right? It's greater than any acute wherever that may be. And the remaining angle is less. Okay, so apologies for the cryptic statement. We're going to get to what that actually means later on. So I'm going to put a diagram on this page and maybe add to the diagram as we progress. So we'll need a circle, of course. Everything here is about circles, and of course we can find the center of the circle. And in this proposition, we have a diameter, right? Because we're going to draw a line at right angles to this diameter at its end. So we're going to have a diameter. We're going to find center D. We're going to call the diameter AB. Right, and A is the end that we're going to draw this this other line to. But before we do that, we're gonna prove part A first, right? So part A says that straight line drawn at right angles to the diameter at its end will fall outside the circle. So we're going to draw a line from A, which is perpendicular to AB, that falls inside the circle for contradiction, and then we'll derive a contradiction from there. So the diagram is going to look a little weird. This is going to be another one of those diagrams where we have to draw an impossible diagram. So here we go. I'm going to draw this, right? There's a line which is at right angles to AB. So this doesn't look like a right angle, but I'm going to say that we can draw this line. And we can do this by proposition 1.11, right? This gives us the ability to construct perpendiculars from a point on a given line perpendicular to that line. Okay, so this line is going to fall inside the circle. So we're going to construct this line. We're going to assume that it falls not completely outside the circle. So it's going to be inside the circle at some point, and then going to cross the circumference and be outside. So we're going to call that point C. And we're going to join D and C. All right, so we got that. So we can kind of see what we're going to do here, because now we've got DA and DC, which are both radii of the circle. And I'm going to mark these. And you can already see an impossible diagram right in front of you. So let's write up the proof. So part A, right? So given those constructions, I won't write out all of the statements that lead to that construction, kind of just talk through it. So like C be the point where where the perpendicular.
You need to
Sorry, I
move
think
the camera.
that's the wrong order that is shown.
Say again?
On the orbicam, it's not the right
Oh,
order.
yes. Thank you. I need to walk across a little bit. Yes, thanks for the reminder. I skipped over the board 3 without walking. Cool. So where the perpendicular to AB, well, AB meets the circumference. Right. And we have, since DC and the A are both radii, right, they are equal. Right, and now we've got an isosceles triangle, right? Proposition 1.5 says that the two angles at the base of this isosceles triangle are equal, and our diagram tells us that, well, our construction actually tells us that they are both right angles, which is where we get our contradiction. So by right angles, the angles, so by 1.5, the angles DCA and DAC are equal, right? And by construction, they are both right angles. Because we constructed DAC to be a right angle, and so this is a contradiction. Because we have a triangle, we can't have two right angles in a triangle, right? Which contradicts proposition.
Well, you don't want to. Well, yeah. So the contradiction would be, for example, from the interior angles adding to two right angles, and therefore C. I mean, that would show that the angle CDA was 0, which is the contradiction, since C is not equal to A. Yeah.
Cool. So there's an extra part in Euclid that says that similarly, we can show that the line is not on the circumference, right? So we've kind of assumed that this line is kind of inside, and then, it comes out. But I think my interpretation of that is like, if you have a line that's like somehow on the circumference AC and then exits the circle at AC, that's still impossible. It's really the same argument, because as long as you have a point on the circumference that's not A and it's also on this line, then we can draw a similar diagram and derive a contradiction. So I won't write that down. I'll just say it. So that's part A. And I'm going to go back to the diagram for part B, and I think I can stay where I am, and the org cam is still pointed at the two boards.
The part you're skipping is this comment about interposing other straight lines, is that right?
Sorry, say again?
In the statement, it says something about another straight line cannot be interposed. That's the part that you just spelled out loud, is that right?
No, so this part is not that, because that's part B, right? What does interpose mean?
Oh, just put between, yeah.
Oh, put between, right. So no, that's part B. So that was a very brief comment in Euclid about if that line CAC is on the circumference, then we can also rule that out.
All right.
Because we want to say that this line is completely outside of the circle, right? So we've said, we've derived the contradiction where this line is somehow on the inside, some part of it is on the inside, but it could also just be like on the circumference. But similar arguments, you can derive a contradiction. Even though straight lines can't live on the circumference, right? But we didn't. I guess we didn't talk about that. Okay, so now I'm gonna construct the correct line here. I'm gonna construct this line, which is AE. I'll call this AE. And I'm gonna talk about inserting a line between EA and the circumference. So I don't know whether I should draw it on the same die. It's a little bit busy, but I guess I'll do it. Okay, remember this next statement is about the impossibility of inserting a line between EA and B and the circumference and the circle, right? The arc between AC, I guess here. So let's suppose we could do this. We're going to insert a line. I'm going to do this line in a different color. So I can insert a line here, right? And the construction that we want here is that we want to drop a perpendicular from, again, impossible diagram, here. And let me just label a few things. Maybe. Yeah,
what do you mean?
This is not the best diagram.
What do you mean drop a perpendicular? What are the hypotheses here? So we're just saying, suppose we have a straight line passing through A, which is...
Yeah, so we have a straight line passing through A, and that's between the circumference and EA. So I mean, the diagram is kind of ridiculous because this is impossible, right? So this line, green line, is between the blue curve and the EA.
But what does that mean exactly?
So the angle
between EA and AD is well defined. So like on that side of EA, I understand. And we're simply saying it does not meet the circumference. Is that what it means to be between EA?
Yeah, I think yes, because what I'm going to do next is going to require that it doesn't cross the circumference.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, because what I'm going to do here is so the angle DAF, right, is now less than 90 degrees because this is between DAE, and DAE is the right angle, right? So that's maybe I should have been more clear that we're actually constructing this to be a right angle, forgetting about the fake diagram that we had before. And then now we're going to draw a perpendicular from D to FA. And we can do this, and it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be DA because DA doesn't meet FA at right angles, right? So I'm gonna do. This is going to be ridiculous because I have to draw it like this. Right, we're going to do that. So let me just spell out what I'm doing on the other board. Okay, so what are we doing? So B. Okay, suppose.
Oh, I see. Okay, so we use the proposition that from a given line to a point, we can draw a line with a right angle.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So a slightly different proposition from before, but still, constructing perpendiculars that a line FA is inserted between EA and the circumference. Okay. And we construct the perpendicular from D to FA, right? So we construct perpendicular from D to FA, which is what we did, hitting it at G. All right, so this is proposition 1.12. And since, okay, so now we have to derive the contradiction. We've drawn a diagram. It looks impossible, but it is actually impossible. So this is the next thing will tell us why. So since DAG, so this is the angle DAG is less than a right angle. So it is less than a right angle because it is part of a right angle, right? So DAE, where is the right angle? I didn't spell this out in the proof, but we've constructed EA to be the tangent line, right? In modern parlance, right? That's the line that meets BA right angles, and we insert a line between EA and the circumference. So this is part of the right angle, and it's actually less than the right angle. And now we've constructed a right angle at DGA, and so we're going to use this to give us an inequality in the side lengths. So I'm going to go to the next board, walk across a little bit. Sorry, there we go. Okay, so since DAG is less than the right angle, DGA is a right angle. So by proposition,
I see.
1.19, right? We have we get DA is greater than DG. Okay, so proposition 19 says that in a triangle you have two angles, one greater than the other. Then the sides also satisfy this. The opposite sides also satisfies the same inequality. So DAG is less than DGA. So, well, DG must be less than DA because DG is the side that's opposite the smaller angle compared to DG. And so, of course, this is actually impossible because of radius, right? So this is impossible. Since, well, DG is greater than the radius, right, which is equal to DA. And why is DG greater than the radius? Because G is outside the circle. So you draw a line from this to the center of the circle. Well, then part of this line will include the radius, right? So then there's our contradiction. Okay. Okay, so that's B. I'll quickly do part C. So part C is that cryptic statement about any acute rectilinear angle, blah. So I'm going to write out what Euclid says, and then we'll try to make sense of it. So if any acute rectilinear, so I don't remember the word acute appearing in the statement of the proposition, but it appears in the proof.
It's in the statement.
Okay, I just missed it. Did I write it?
I don't know.
I did write it. Sorry, I just forgot what I wrote. Okay, let me realign the orb. I think I walked away. All right. It's greater than the angle contained by BA and I guess the circumference. I'm going to call it CA, the arc CA. So we refer back to the diagram. I've got a point C, which is on the circumference, and then A is also on the circumference, and I just mean that arc from CA. Okay, so if any acute rectilinear angle, forgot the word, is greater than the angle contained by BA and the circumference, right, then a line, straight line, can be inserted into the space. So I guess that's what he means, right? It can be inserted into the space between CA
I see.
and AE. All right. And so, yeah, so I guess it's just really unpacking the language here, right? So what he means by any acute rectilinear angle greater than the angle contained by BA and the circumference means, yeah, it means you can stick a line in between there. And we proved that this was impossible by part B, right? So there's, I won't write down the next part, but there's a corresponding statement, right? If there's an angle, acute angle less than the angle contained by the arc CA and AE, right? Then again, this just means that we can insert a line between the arc CA and AE, which is again impossible by the previous part. So this is really kind of getting to what we mean by what we think of as being a line being tangent to a curve, right? It's probably not exactly what we think about, how we think about tangency in kind of modern geometry, but it's getting there, right? So there's a corollary which I'll write up. I think the corollary is really just a restatement of the theorem. Let me just check. Angles. Yeah, I mean the corollary is just really it's just really part A, right? Now that I realized that I wrote down the same thing, so maybe I'll leave that out and just refer us back to part A of the proposition: a straight line drawn at right angles to the diameter of a circle from its end touches the circle and it touches it at a single point. Oh, actually, that's not exactly what it says. I mean, here it says the line falls outside of the circle. So maybe I will write this down. Maybe I'll write this down. We've got a few minutes left, and I think it's probably not enough time to do the next proposition anyway, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. So the corollary. Is that a straight line drawn at right angles to the diameter of a circle from its end touches the circle at a single point.
So this is the first appearance of an infinitesimal in Euclid, right? This statement you just made. Is that one way to read it? So it's saying that the angle...
Hey Dan, are you saying something?
Oh, sorry. I'm far away from you.
How come I can't hear you?
It's because I'm far away. I'm next to you now.
Oh.
So what you just proved is the first appearance of infinitesimals in Euclid, right? I mean, the angle of the semicircle to the tangent is less than any acute rectilinear.
Yeah, any given, right.
Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? Quite remarkable that this language appears.
And I get the language that shows that he's aware of infinitesimals too, right? Like he's not talking about the angle. He's not just going, oh, I can measure the angle between a curve and a line. He's actually thinking about inserting a line, to measure angles and then changing that to be something very small. So I like this. I like that he wasn't sloppy about, oh yeah, we can just talk about an angle between a curve and a line. Like today we think of it as, oh yeah, you can just compute the tangent vector, right? But obviously this is this predates tangent vectors.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Yeah, so that's it for for 16.
QED, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, this is one of the best ones so far in book 3, I would say, right?
Yeah. It's introducing some concepts. I didn't expect to see this kind of argument in Euclid.
Yeah, I took a bit of a peek at the beginning of Principia to prepare for this seminar in 4 years or whatever when we finished Euclid. But plenty of infinitesimals there, obviously. Okay, thanks, Ken.
Cool. Cheers.
See you next week.
See you guys later.
Bye.